Apologies, this video's a day later than it, or hopefully only one day, it could end up being 2 days later than originally planned. Trying to do transfer specials on a Monday, that's difficult. They usually take 2 days. Excuses. We all know it's a big transfer window. I wanted to take my time, make sure it's done properly. Fingers crossed what's about to happen is me doing it properly. I've sacked a lot of staff. Hello and welcome to part 63 of It's Coming Home. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, we have a season review of our glorious promotion season from League Two with glorious top scorer Mick Powell. And we're also going to do our summer transfers and a backroom reshuffle. If we have a look, if we start there, so if we look at staff, we've let go some names that have been with us for a long time. Basically, the main guys in the main positions that I think are issues. So we obviously let the Seal go, who was our director of football way back from the inception of the club, 7 years, and now he's gone. Reece Chapman, who was our physio, he was our physio head physio from the start, and Damien Tatham was our other physio, who again was here from the very beginning. I think we could probably upgrade those areas. Ollie Crickmay, Chief Scout. No, you're not Chief Scout anymore, Ollie. He was with us from the very start. I don't think we need to do much more of a clear out, because if we have a look at our staffing situation, obviously the medical team's just been decimated. Recruitment we know needs fixing, but we've sacked the director of football and the Chief Scout. But the actual coaching team, in everywhere other than goalkeeping, our coaching team is the best in League Two. And we've still got a vacancy for another coach to, ideally, I guess, bring in another goalkeeping coach. So I think our coaching staff is fine. We're having a massive reshuffle of the recruitment team. We're going to bring in a new director of football, a new chief scout, and a bunch of new scouts to go with them, and a new head physio, new physios. We're going to fix the recruitment in the medical teams, and fingers crossed, that will then lead to a better quality of players coming up on our scout reports, better quality of signings, and when they come in, they'll stay fitter and we won't get as many little niggling injuries, which has been a problem certainly in the season since we've been full-time, especially to Mick Powell. His season was very disrupted, A, by his manager dropping him all the time, but B, the whole reason it began is because he got like 3 little niggling injuries in the first 3 or 4 months of the season, which it just made it hard to rely on him. I fell out of love with Mick Powell. We're going to try and fix that over the course of this summer as well. But let's start off, as we always do on these episodes, by doing our season review, starting with the home overall best 11. We've got a new inductee. George Tanner is in the all-time best 11 at right back. He's now played 88 games for us, an average of 6.95. It's a bit of an odd time for George Tanner to make it into the all-time best 11, because he's certainly not a first choice, but then looking at this, he's never been a first choice. 16 games that season, 17 games that season, 22 games this season. I wouldn't consider him my first choice right back now, but he is our best right back ever, apparently, in a team that has Civitar in goal, a back four of Webber, Manny Parry still in the all-time best 11, which seems mad, because he only played one season for us, Manny Parry. Yeah, it was a good season, but I think we've got better centre-backs at the club now than Manny Parry. But Webber, Parry, Proctor and Tanner. Shane Phillips in there as a holding midfielder. Ben Cottrell is now a central midfielder, apparently, alongside Lerick Fernandez. Cottrell, by the way, he's playing league football, not regularly, but he has made it to the Football League with Yeovil. And then Tyler, Powell and Stanley as our front three, and a bench of Mayle, Carter, Critchlow Noble, Benson, Buckley, Sheridan, and there you go. Prince Chiddy is in the all-time best team. Second best striker we've ever had. Officially better than Anthony Harris, according to the overall best 11. I mean, can you imagine the riots when that was announced? I can feel the riots coming out of the comments now. Prince Chiddy, second only to Mick Powell in the history of strikers at this football club. Where are they now? I think most of them are still with us. Dean Morris, let's check in with Dean Morris. He's played 6 times for England. Oh, Dean Morris is a full England international at age 22. We're never getting him back, are we? A Premier League regular, a full England international, earning a lot of money. Dean Morris has had a good career. Anthony Harris, who's our number 1 transfer target for this summer. He's had an acceptable season at League One. with Port Vale. Obviously, he'd do better. I mean, he's actually out of contract. There's a chance we could sign Anthony Harris permanently this summer. Imagine. Ben Cottrell and Manny Parry already know where they are. Joseph Colley, he's still here, but he's out on loan. He spent the season out on loan at Telford and only managed 9 games. I think that says it all about Joe Colley. And Harrison Mayle is playing in non-league. Not really good enough, is he? Hayden Carter and Critchlow Noble have both now retired. End of season awards. Patrick Webber, player of the season, with an absolute landslide, 61% of the votes. Followed by Connor Stanley, then Lerick Fernandez, who obviously we are going to try and sign. I mean, Lerick Fernandez, I think, is available to sign permanently this summer as well. So he's another one we're going to try and bring back permanently. We're getting the band back together, boys and girls. Goal of the season is Oliver Pendlebury. I don't particularly remember this goal. Let's have a little look at it to see what made it goal of the season. I don't know if this is one that we saw in an episode. I don't know why it's so slow. That's a painfully slow highlight. Tyler played it across to Pendlebury. 1 touch. I mean, okay, that is a cracking goal. What a goal. That deserves goal of the season. Archie Proctor got signing of the season. Obviously, he was on loan the year before, came in permanently. Signing of the season for Archie Proctor. And Connor Stanley, despite being here, 5 years, is still able to win Young Player of the Season. He's played 175 games for us now and still young enough to win Young Player of the Season. Still only 23 years old. Team of the season, Civitar in goal, Webber, Santos, Proctor and Tanner, Phillips, Pendlebury and Fernandez in midfield, Tyler, Powell and Stanley as the front three, so no place for Prince Chidi in the fans' team of the season. Who knew? Powell got top scorer with 13 goals, Webber highest average rating, Stanley most assists and Shane Phillips best pass completion as ever. Season review, we overperformed again. The home side of 2018, where are they now? So 8 of them are now retired. Very sad. Only Shane Phillips and Mick Powell still with us. We know about Dean Morris and Anthony Harris. Reece McNally is playing for Folkestone Invicta. Nathan Owen at Colville Town. Seth Patrick at Bromsgrove. And Rich de Groot still at Sheffield. Probably shouldn't have left to go to Sheffield, should you, after 17 games, Rich. Brad Smith is playing for AFC Wolfrunians, and James Hayter still managing real reserves. Players that have retired: Brannigan, McNulty, Rob Davis. Stephen Dunn's now retired. Did we already know that? I think we might have known that last season. Jack Turnbull, Bemby, Sheridan and Yomi Samuels. Well, I never. Dynamics, Lerick Fernandez, he's now a team leader along with Powell and Phillips. I think Stanley was up in the team leaders before, but Fernandez has forced his way past. I think we do need to try and sign Lerick Fernandez. Fernandez and Anthony Harris, they're the 2 top transfer targets this summer. Yes, that's right. I've learnt nothing from this season. I'm still going to try and sign my own players and carry on doing what we've always done. End of season team meeting. We've just got to be thinking in terms of staying up. So let's passionately say, even though, no, we're not going to probably come back down. Tough season ahead. I'm not going to be sticking with you. Get new faces to help us stay up next time round. Do you really think we're capable of surviving? I'm dubious and can't be the only one. Yikes. For the first time ever, we're favourites for relegation, it seems. Certainly amongst our own players. This is going to be a tough one. We're not going to mess around with this stuff yet. We're going to get a director of football in place first and let him do the hiring and firing, because that's how we do things around here at home. Right, we're just going to have a look at the Patreon players and then we're going to get started on the new season transfer stuff. So Patreon players are becoming increasingly difficult to track as they start retiring and losing their names, which is a frustrating thing that I wish the game didn't do. So what we're actually going to do is we're just going to have a look through the under-23s and the under-18s. If you can pick out your player, see how they're getting on. Obviously, we'll identify the ones who are close to breaking through. We've already got Lerick Fernandez and David Sawinski, who you see every episode. Alex Carmichael is likely to be the next one to break through. He's a central midfielder. He can also play up front. 2.5-star current ability, 5-star potential ability. I think we should expect to see Alex Carmichael around and about the squad next season. Outside of him, if we're looking at Patreon players, and I'm probably going to miss some as I go through, so I'm going to scroll relatively slowly, see if I can pick out any names that I recognise, which is, I mean, it's a tough challenge for me looking at this. Keith Watson, I think, is one of our Patreon people. He's still knocking about the place. Andy Barter, I'm pretty sure he's a Patreon person. Chris Brown, I think, is as well. He's 22 now, still knocking around the club. I think it was one of our first wave. He's got a nickname. So Chris Brown was one of our first wave of Patreon players. He might spend his whole career at home, but never... he played once way back then. That would be amazing if he's still with us in the Premier League. I would love that. There's a few more potentially in there. And then the under-18s, the ones who are a little bit younger. If we have a look at those as well, again, a lot of these are going to be Patreon people because so many of you now have claimed your players at this point. But if we just have a little scroll through, you can see if your player's still at the club and you can see where they are doing with their ability and their potential ability. But the one really to keep an eye on going forward is Alex Carmichael. He's the one most likely to join the two current Patreon heroes in our first team squad, Lerick Fernandez and David Sawinski. So the job now is to get a new director of football in place, start building our backroom staff, and then wait for the 1st of July, sign Anthony Harris, sign Lerick Fernandez, and then see how much money we've got left and build the rest of the squad. Easy peasy summer, no hassle at all. Don't even know what tactic we're going to play next year. Not a clue. Ladies and gentlemen, meet our new director of football, aka the new SEAL, Zlatko Zajovic. I feel like I probably should have heard of him. He was a player from my era who played 80 times internationally. But most importantly, he's got 17 on judging player ability, 14 on judging player potential. He's not got much experience as director of football. Actually, I'd say that. He's got years of experience with Maribor. Where are Maribor? In Slovenia. He hasn't been there for a year. I don't know why they let him leave. But other than that, he's never done it anywhere else. No experience at all of English football. Probably doesn't even speak English. I haven't even checked. Do you speak... Oh my word, look at all these languages. He speaks good English. Excellent stuff. Well, there we go. He's our new director of football. We're going to leave a lot of all of the rest of the staff recruitment is in his hands. And we'll see what kind of loans he can bring in for me. I'm so excited about that. Is there a way to have him judging my star ratings on the squad screen? If I go onto here, if I look at an individual player, can I choose my director of football to judge? No. He's probably our best judge of player at the entire club now. Hopefully he can judge staff just as well and will bring in some awesome staff for me. Hey, another Manager of the Year award to go on my CV. Interestingly, for those of you who watched Non-League to Legend earlier today, my manager reputation here at home is now almost the same as my manager reputation at Hamburg, where I'm in the Champions League. I've got a 3-star reputation with Hamburg. Is that a 2 3/4 star reputation? That's ridiculous. Reputations are broken. We also got Weber and Proctor into the team of the season. And we've brought in a new head physio, Ritson Lloyd. Can you do physioing? He can! I mean, this new director, the new SEAL, knows what he's doing. I was a little bit worried about who he appointed as chief scout because he just upgraded Danny Armitage, who's been our normal scout with us ever since we started. He's one of the home originals, but clearly did enough to impress his new boss. I query it a little bit, but I'm not going to query it too much because I approve of that physio appointment. We've now got the best judging player ability in League 2. We're up there for player potential. We're already good for coaching. We still need to get a couple more medical staff in, but staff are starting to take shape. Pretty soon we're going to have to start thinking about players. Well, here's another piece of backroom staff we're going to have to change. Assistant manager Eric Anyon, who's been with me for the last 3 seasons, has got his first manager's job. He's going to be the new manager of Rochdale, who are also in... Oh, no, they've just been relegated from League One. Congratulations to Eric. We now need a new assistant manager as well. So I suppose that's not the worst thing in the world. Bit of an upgrade. I am proud to see Eric go and looking forward to see who the new SEAL brings in. Well, here's my new assistant manager, Graham Lee. 46 years old, has a Continental Pro licence, which is very handy. Likes to play the way I like to play, other than this defending nonsense. We'll beat that out of him. I guess it doesn't hurt for me to be attacking focused and him to be defensive focused. He's not the best judge of player in the world or the best coach in the world, but importantly, he's got lots of experience. He's managed Wimbledon recently. I mean, he managed to stay nearly 9 months at Wimbledon, was previously the assistant manager of Middlesbrough's reserve team for 10 years. Yeah, he'll be fine. I mean, trust the new seal. I need to learn his name. What is his actual name? Can't keep calling it Zlatko. Trust Zlatko. Zlatko knows what he's doing. I hope. First two signings of the summer confirmed. Lewis Tyler and Lerick Fernandez, they both signed extensions with their parent clubs. 1 year for Fernandez, 2 years for Tyler. So they've both had a 1 year extension on their loans to stay with us. We are currently in talks with Anthony Harris. Further news to follow. We're not extending any of the other loans. Mick Pugh, I think I've been messing around with tactics a little bit. I think we're going to try and do a fluid counter-attacking system, keeping this shape, which means there's no space for Pugh. But we are also training a direct counter-attacking if we can't cope with being fluid. So a direct counter-attacking version of the same thing. That's basically the system we used with Forest Green in Non-League to Legend. And just in case we manage to get Anthony Harris, we're also training a system that could allow Harris and Mick Powell to play together. I don't know if it'll be a direct counter-attack. I don't know if it'll be a 4-4-2. We could even go back to the diamond, in which case Mick Pugh would be handy. But we've got Tyler coming back. We've got Connor Stanley here. I don't want to lose my wingers. I'd rather keep faith with the wingers. So we might go to a 4-4-2 if we can get Harris. Interesting. There's further news to follow. I also think, bearing in mind our current financial situation, I think there's a very good chance David Sawinski's going to be leaving this summer. We're getting bigger and bigger offers for him all the time. This one, 155,000, rising to 275,000. We're turning them all down. I feel that Serenik Nuhu may step in at some point and just force through a move. He's still got 3 years left on his contract, but I think our chances of keeping him are rather slim. He's wanted by 14 clubs. Shall we... I mean, we're a League One team now. Let's stick a big asking price on him and hope that discourages offers. If someone comes in and offers £1 million now, I guess we take it on the basis that we need the money. Plus, we only got rubbish after he came into the team last season. We were fine until we started playing him and Fernandez together. So perhaps we have to pick what we said before. They're very similar players. Perhaps we have to pick one or have the game pick one for us. Plus, we could always do the old Lerick Fernandez deal of sell him and loan him straight back if he goes to a big enough club, which that works for me too. I don't need him to be my player. We're not paying Lerick Fernandez a penny to be here. So I'd rather they all went somewhere else and loaned back for free because it's better for our bank balance. We might also be losing Alex Carmichael before he's played a game for us. £375,000 offer for him that we've turned down. It seems clubs have realised we've got a decent youth setup and are now just trying to take our players before they've even played a game, which is mad. Perhaps we should have given him a few games. I don't care if he ends up being a flop second time round. This is the happiest moment of the save for me. He's not come back on loan. He's come home as a permanent player on a 2-year contract, just as he's learned to start scoring goals again. Anthony Harris is coming home, boys and girls. Oh, I'm so excited. We need to give him the number 10 shirt straight away. Lewis Tyler, I'm sorry. I know you've been looking after it for a little while, but obviously Anthony Harris is getting his number 10 shirt back. Anthony Harris is home. Links to buy the shirts are down in the description if you want to celebrate by buying an Anthony Harris 10 shirt. He's in now. He's in for the duration. We've got Harris and Powell back together. Well, it's the 1st of July. He's officially back. And if star ratings are to be believed, he is coming in as the best player at the club with potential to still continue to improve. Anthony Harris is back at home. Right, we need to make sure that he gets his shirt. How do we find him? This is complicated. Right, strikers. We've got too many players. I know you lot have mentioned that in the past, but I'm now starting to see that it's an issue. So, Anthony Harris. Lewis Tyler, give him his shirt. How do we take a shirt off somebody? I need to strip Lewis Tyler of his shirt. But we just won't give him a number yet. When we do the numbers in pre-season, we'll make sure we give Anthony Harris the correct squad number then. But my word, I'm so happy that Anthony Harris is back. And what a man to welcome him home. Mick, go welcome your old strike partner back. He's now going to get the team ahead of you. Oh, my word. So, 1st of July, this is what our squad currently looks like. So up front, we have Anthony Harris with Powell and Polosky as backups. I can live with that. Left wing, we've got Tyler. Anthony Harris nearly as good as him. We could probably do with strengthening on the left wing. It's a bit of a worry on the right wing as well. Connor Stanley maybe has reached his level. How was his season last year? Is he ready? I mean, he got 11 assists and 4 goals. I think he deserves an opportunity. Midfield, we've got Sawinski, we've got Fernandez, we've got Alex Carmichael coming through as well as Phillips. Still got Wolf and Collar knocking around. Phillips is really our only defensive midfielder still. At the back, Proctor, Sass Davis, Santos, Maguire. None of these are really League One quality players. Webber and Tanner and Daly Campbell as our fullbacks, and then Humphreys, who apparently is now better than Civita, which is interesting. There's been a lot of call for a long time to play Humphreys ahead of Civita. He might finally, after 3 years of being a backup to him, might finally become our first choice keeper this season if I continue to go by scout ratings, although that's Graham Lee doing that. I can't get my new fancy director of football doing it. But there we go. Anthony Harris is the best player at home. Who'd have thought? Now I've got to rebuild everything else. Everything else. This is going to be a busy 1st of July. Well, first batch of transfers complete. Transfer number 1, new director of football man, has brought back Ken Sinclair on loan, who was here last year. To be fair to him, he is much better than anyone else we've got on the right-hand side of midfield. The only problem is he can't play as a winger the way we play. But if we're going to go to a 4-4-2 with Harris and Powell up front, which is definitely a possibility, then having Sinclair, who is much better than Stanley or Ainley on the right-hand side of midfield, does make sense. He's not costing us anything, so he can come back in for another year. And then we've brought in 4 free transfers. Firstly, Aaron Simpson, and all of these have got a theme. They're experienced players who've played lots of league football. We're trying to add a little bit of experience to our very young squad. So Aaron Simpson is a 28-year-old right-back who... he's roughly equivalent standard to Daly Campbell and Tanner. There's been a lot of interest in Tanner this summer, so George Tanner's probably going to be leaving the club, and Simpson and Daly Campbell can fight for this position. But he's played like 4 years in League One for Fleetwood. He's been playing regularly for Scunthorpe the last couple of years in League Two. So he comes in as an option for us at right back. Tyreek Bakinson as a 26-year-old English central midfielder, 3-star current ability, little bit of potential to improve as well. He's wasted a lot of his potential because he's been playing in the National League for Billericay for the money for the last few years. Before that, he did play a full season in League Two for Newport. He was previously of Luton and Bristol City as well. I think he's good enough to play in League Two. He's just been wasted for the last 3 years down in the National League because Billericay threw money at him, and hopefully he can come in and prove himself at a higher level. And I think he offers something a little bit different to all the other midfielders we've currently got, which is one of the reasons for bringing him in. Plus, I'm afraid we're going to lose one of Sawinski or Carmichael, so it makes sense to strengthen the midfield a little bit, which is what Andy Cannon does as well. Another different midfielder to what we've got at the moment, another one with a lot of experience at this level, 29 years old, 3-star current ability, natural ball-winning midfielder or box-to-box midfielder in central midfield. Been playing for Doncaster for years. Before that, Rochdale, 4 years. Over 300 appearances in League One and League Two. Just seems to make sense to have a player with that kind of experience around the squad. And then lastly, Matic Palic is a 27-year-old Slovenian international left-back. Weber is another one there's been offers come in for Weber. We could lose Weber this summer. If we do, we didn't really have much in the way of a backup. We've got Pasala, but he's unproven at the league below, let alone at this level. Palic is in theory better than Weber. Remains to be seen whether he actually is. But he has lots of experience at League One. Been playing in League One for Rochdale for the last 3 seasons. So again, experience at this level. So with that first round of transfers done, firstly, let's look at finances. Finances, we've still got about £10,000 a week of wage budget to play with. So that's probably enough for another 5 or 6 first team players, or 2 or 3 if we get really, really good ones. Looking at our squad depth report, there are still areas we need to strengthen if this is the system we're going to be using. And I think it is. Look at the state of this. Mick Powell now fallen down to 4th choice. Obviously White we ignore, but Poloskaj now apparently a better striker than Mick Powell. Mick Powell many years ago did a Mick Powell. I hope doing a Mick Powell doesn't take on a new meaning and you go from being a hero to just kind of drifting away. He does still have bags of potential, but apparently he's a good player for National League sides who might one day be good enough to maybe play in League Two. It's a worry. Could successfully be retrained as a left winger. Maybe that wouldn't be the worst thing for us to do with Mick Powell at this stage of his career. Get him out there on the left wing, playing as an inside forward, and see if that's a way he can force his way back into the team, because that is an area where we're weak. We've only got Lewis Tyler there. We've not really got any depth behind him, so we do need another left winger still. The right-hand side, we've got Stanley and Ainley. We've obviously got Ken, whose name I can't remember, who can play here, and we're going to train him to play there. So I think we're covered on the right-hand side. We probably need one more left winger, unless that left winger becomes Mick Powell. I think we're set in midfield. We've got Sawinski, we've got Fernandez, we've got Bakinson and Cannon, the two new boys. We've got Carmichael as well. Shane Phillips is perfectly good enough as a holding midfielder. Still, who'd have thought he'd be the last man standing of the golden generation? Although I guess Harris now is back, so he'll go on to be the last man standing. But Phillips could well break our all-time appearance record this season if he plays regularly as our first choice holding midfielder and Mick Powell as a bench warmer. We could do with a backup for him though, because an injury to Phillips and we're going to have to rethink the entire system. And then at the back we've got Palic, who's come in as as competition for Webber. That's fine. I think we're sorted for right back too. Centre back, Proctor, Sass Davis, Santos. We could probably do with another centre back. There's a couple that I'm tempted by this guy, other than the fact that he's 33 years old, but he is 6'5". You know I like a 6'5" centre back, and he's another one with bags of experience, 450 games at around about this level, League One, League Two level. But at 33, I'm not going to rush into bringing him in early in the transfer window. We have already discussed terms with him, but I lowballed him a little bit. We'll try again, offer him a bit more if we can't find anyone better in 2 or 3 weeks' time. And then in goal, Humphreys, Civita, I think we're sorted there too. So the priority really, a centre-back, a holding midfielder, a left winger, and then a couple of squad players here and there. And I think we're about done. Be interesting to see what other loans appear. I hope it's not just redos of last year's loans that didn't go so well. But for it being the 4th of July, I think we're not doing too bad with putting a squad together that should be good enough to avoid relegation. Let's have a look. Ugh, what colour is League One? That's horrible. Let's have a look. Season preview. Media are predicting 16th. So I think we could probably do that with this squad as it is. But hopefully we can strengthen in a few key areas still. Well, squad numbers are announced, and for the first time in the history of this football club, we've changed somebody's squad number. Lewis Tyler having to switch to number 18 so that Anthony Harris can reclaim what is rightfully his. Number 10, Anthony Harris. I'm so excited. I really hope he's not a flop. Don't care about that, but we have made some more signings. No more major first team players. I don't know that we're going to do any more actually, because we've brought in a whole bunch of youngsters the way I always do in the summer, and we've sold Callum Ainley to bring a little bit of cash in. He's gone to Gillingham for £70,000, but we've brought in a lot of young players. David Gamble is an 18-year-old left winger. I think he could probably deputise for Lewis Tyler on that left wing. Josh Williams is a 20-year-old centre-back. Most of these are former Premier League players. So Gamble, for example, is from West Brom. Williams is from Brighton. Jonathan Lilly is a young striker, 19 years old. He comes in from Sunderland. Alan Carey is a central midfielder, 19 years old, comes in from Bristol City. Craig Coleman is another left wing. I guess he's the one who I brought in. I thought he was going to be better than he is. He is a first team player. I guess he's going to be my backup to Tyler. He's not ideal. He's a bit of a misstep. Luke Hutchinson is an 18-year-old midfielder, comes in from Arsenal. And Mark Donaldson is a 21-year-old centre-back who comes in from Huddersfield. Finance-wise, we've still got a bunch of cash left. I don't think we necessarily need to rush to sign a whole load more players now. The squad depth is looking pretty decent. Certainly up front, we're looking good. We could probably still do with another left winger, maybe another right winger as well. Central midfield, we're absolutely sorted. I'd still like another defensive midfielder. And I think we're fairly comfortable at the back. Another centre-back would be nice, but we have just signed a couple of young ones who could potentially come in if need be. Plus, there's still loans to come yet. We'll wait and see what new director of football man does in the way of loans. He's only brought in the one so far. I would expect a few more to appear before the end of the transfer window. I always like seeing what loans appear. Well, we knew it was coming. There's finally been an offer big enough for David Sawinski that Ennick who can't refuse. £625,000. We kind of do need the money. The one thing that frustrates me a little bit is there's no sell-on. Shall I try protesting the transfer? The board should reconsider. He's a key player, really good prospect. Reconsider. The board appreciates the comments. I'm sure you're aware. Yeah, we've got to sell him. Oh well. We lose David Sawinski. We'll obviously try and bring him back on loan. I suspect we'll be hit with the same thing we got hit with Dean Morris years ago, when they don't want to loan him to a foreign lower league team, even though it's the team that he came through. But we'll see how that develops. Obviously, £625,000 wipes our debts, so it is handy money now. It's just frustrating to lose another young player without a sell-on. And it's that thing of not knowing where the board are going to step in and force the sale. Could I have got $500,000 with a 50% sell-on if I'd have been a bit more proactive? Maybe. In fact, should we try and do that now? There's still time to be proactive. Let's, if we've accepted an offer, now let's try and throw him out to everybody, but with the sell-on, and see if we can convince him to go elsewhere. You never know. We might be able to pick up some offers from some other clubs. I'd rather take $500,000 with a 50% sell. I'm not taking 180,000 with a sell-on. Let's try and negotiate each one of these individually. So we want, as a minimum, £500,000 with a 50% sell-on. We're gambling on the future a little bit. No, get lost, Villa. I'm not going to do each one of these. That's just stupid. No one else is willing to offer anywhere near what he's worth. So it looks like he is going to be going to Hearts, assuming they offer him the money he wants. There's a potential twist in the story yet. David Sawinski has picked up an injury. He's going to be out for 4 to 5 weeks. The question is now, will Hearts sign him without him passing a medical before their transfer window closes? We might be able to backdoor Kev away into keeping one of our most important players. Cross everything. Okay, this is getting stupid now. Sir Ennick who has now accepted a £350,000 offer from Leeds. I mean, it's got a sell-on, so I guess on that face of it, that might end up better long-term. We turned down £500,000 from QPR like 3 weeks ago. I'm now thinking I should have just slapped a 50% sell on that and taken it. But because there's no way of knowing, they need to add a feature to the game where you can say to your chairman, look, I've got this player. I know you're going to sell him out from under me at some point. What is the price you're looking for? So, because that's the conversation you'd have in real life. What is the price we are selling David Sawinski for if it gets offered? Right, I can work with that and find a way to get us the best deal. This way is stupid because we're going to lose another young player who's going to go on and have a £20 million transfer and we're not going to get any of it. Urgh. Well, he's gone. I'm getting £29,000 added to my wage budget. At least he's gone to the one that's given us the 40% sell on. It hasn't cleared our debts now, which is a bit of a problem. I mean, that was it worth it? The question now, of course, is are we going to be able to loan him back the way we did with Eric Fernandez? Loan. They want us to pay his wages. God, blimey. And they're not. And the board won't let us pay all of his wages. What a ridiculous situation we find ourselves in. So what do we need? An extra £200 a week. So an extra £1,000 a month. Can we do it this way? We'll try that. We'll try and get him back. We don't want to let Polosky go because I think Polosky is still classed as our second choice striker at the moment. So Polosky is going to be sticking around. We are very close to the first game of the new season now. I don't know what more is going to be happening before that. The transfer deadline will end midway through tomorrow's episode. So I'm hoping my director of football wakes up and does some loans at some point, because at the moment, nothing much is happening. I haven't been able to identify a good enough centre-back to come in and step into the first team. I'm hoping he's going to loan me one. But at the moment, it looks like our team is pretty much set for that first game of the new season. No, Leeds are no longer willing to let David Sawinski leave on loan. I hope that means they're planning on using him in their first team. We'll add him as ever to the shortlist. I don't even know how you do it from here. Oh, he's already on the shortlist. And for now, he had a 15-game run and he's gone. Gone to play in the Championship. So I guess we'll check in with David Sawinski as I'm sad. We'll bring him back. We bring them all back eventually, but we'll definitely bring him back. So with all of the changes, I think this is what we're going to be doing for our first game of the new season team. We are going to the direct counter-attacking system, basically the Forest Green system, with a couple of tweaks to the player instructions we're going to be using to suit the players that we've got. And I think this is my first choice team, at least for now. Civita in goal, a back four of Palyuk, Proctor, Santos and Tanner, Phillips as the holding midfielder, Fernandez and Bakinson in midfield, with Tyler, Harris and Stanley as the front three. We will see how this works. It's going to be an interesting season, I think, but fingers crossed we're not done with transfers yet. We definitely still need to find a centre-back. It's just proving challenging. Hopefully one of these youngsters we've brought in ends up coming good. But we will end it there for our transfer special. If you have enjoyed it, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. I've just knocked my can of Coke over. This is a disaster. Luckily, I've got adult nappies on hand that somebody sent me. Jimmy FM sent them to me. For those of you who want to check Jimmy out, he's just saved my keyboard. Adult nappy, mops up Coke, problem solved. Subscribe to... I could edit this out, but I've got a nappy. I'm wetting a nappy. I can't edit this out. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos that don't always involve adult nappies. These aren't as absorbent as you'd think. And thank you very much for watching.